ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So last class we took 5.6. The translation read, merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. So we discussed the importance of devotional service. As I posted in the group once, that the more attentively we chant, the more we get the opportunity to do service. While we chant, we are asking, we are begging Radharani and Krishna to give us more opportunities to serve, right? So this is the success, that one who is engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. With that, let's take today's verse, chapter 5, verse 7. योगयुक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेन्द्रिया सर्वभूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Bhagavad-gītā. One who is on the path of liberation by Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is dear to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches, or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjun offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjun was only superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in the second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually as the soul cannot be slain. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjun, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of work. How do we understand this? The example of a soldier fighting in a war, and then when he is not fighting in a war and he's off duty as a civilian, he does the same activity. Let's say a soldier kills an enemy in the war. He's killing someone and then he gets a medal for killing someone. And the same soldier, when he's at home off duty, and by chance if something happened and he kills a civilian, the same soldier will get punishment, right? Even severe as death punishment or penalty. The same action is killing. But one time he is getting a medal, and the second case he is getting punishment. So this is how we can understand when when Arjun fought in the battlefield. So when Arjun was killing everyone, he was not getting any reaction. Why? Because he was doing a karma. He was fighting only to satisfy Shri Krishna. He had completely aligned his senses and his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, and he had aligned his actions as per the wishes of Lord Krishna. And if we do that, then we are safe. That is the first thing. Second thing is, when we have to look out for sadhu sangha or a bona fide spiritual master, how do we know? How do we know where to find one? So, where it says that his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna, nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Krishna. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. So when we are looking for association, this is what we should look forward to in an individual. That what their actions are, what their thoughts are, their speech, their body, their mind, their everything. If it is in alignment and only running and going towards Krishna, then yes, seek shelter under that devotee. Okay, so all of us must find such a devotee. Moving forward with the next one. 5.8 and 9. So please raise your hands, and Chaitanya Prabhu, you can decide who wants to read. I am going to decide this one, but the next you decide. Or you let me know. Neva kinchit karomitri yuktamanyet tadvita pashyan shivan sprashan jigran ashnan gachan swapan swashan pralapan vishajan grihan Ushmin shani me shanapi indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayana. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does not at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. This is very important to understand, that we are not this body, we are soul. So what this means, let's see the purport and then we will come back to the explanation. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon five immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are actions of the senses meant for work. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agam Apaino Anityastam Titikshasa Bharata. Krishna says, right? Mata Sparashastu Kamtya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada. That all the situation, and this is very important for us to be steady in our bhakti. The problem is that if something goes wrong, just a little bit, we become agitated and we become so disturbed that we are unable to complete our 16 rounds. We are unable to focus on reading and hearing. We are unable to focus in our worship in Krishna or in the devotees. We just say we want break, we will just go away, we will quit, we will do this and that. Why? Because we are associating ourselves with the body. And someone who is intelligent, they will understand that all these actions, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, breathing, always known. So these are all outer actions performed by the senses, the five senses and the working senses like hand, legs, nose, ears. So these are all because of them, but this is not in actuality what soul is doing. So it's a difference. The soul is someone else, and the body is performing some action. And if we are associating those actions with the body, then we are attached to the body, and then there is a problem. But if we are completely transcendental, then we won't be having that problem. This is going to take a while to understand, but as we read and we chant enough, we will be able to understand, because the next verse is very beautifully, Krishna is going to explain many things. 5.10. Do we have an hand, Prabhu?
I can read probably.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
ब्रह्मण्यादया कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्मपत्रम् इवाम्बसा. Translation: one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water.
Yeah. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature, technically called the Pradhan. The Vedic hymns, Mundak Upanishad 119 and in the Bhagavad-gītā 14.3, Brahma indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman. And although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. In the Ishopanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna and that he is the proprietor of everything and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body being a gift of the Lord for carrying out a particular type of action can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita 3.30, Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya. Resign all works unto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses, but a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. So again, it's very important for all of us because we are going out to work. We go and we work in corporates, and then there is so many activities that we perform. But the correct understanding is that whatever we are doing, is it taking us closer to Krishna? Meaning that whatever we do it as an offering to Krishna in the initial stages. We have so many aspirations. I want to be this. I want to get this promotion, this and that. It's fine. But engage everything and apply everything to the service of Krishna. And slowly you will see that turn in your life where you will reach a position where you will do everything only for Krishna. For instance, today, I have some desires, so I am fulfilling that desire and offering the result to Krishna. But later on, I will have no desire separate from Krishna. So whether it's job, it's the movement of any country, anything, the first thought will be, is it going to help in the service of Prabhupada, in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And then only one will take decision and a further call. So this is complete surrender. Your life is centered around Krishna, and we have to reach to that stage. But the beginning stage is that whatever you do as an offering to him. Okay? So that is the meaning. 5.11.
Yes, Giriraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिना कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये. Translation: The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification.
When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called Siddh Achar, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12187 describe as follows. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. He has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. So how do we check this? If someone says anything to you, either it be praise or if they are condemning you, and if it affects you, that means there is false ego, right? And when we must, as devotees and aspiring devotees, if we have to go back to Golok Dham in this life, so we should always keep on checking that if someone says anything, whether good or bad, if it is affecting, if you are getting happy by the phrases, or if you are getting angry or sad when someone is pointing false, so that means we still have false ego, okay? Because if the ego is converted to the true ego, it wouldn't affect. For instance, if you see the sages, the pure devotees, it doesn't bother them at all. You see the life story of Tukaram Maharaj. There are so many great saints. They had to face so much of challenges, Prahlad Maharaj. But they were not touched by all these things. They were completely absorbed in Krishna. So when one is completely absorbed in Krishna, for instance, if you have $1 billion, if you have $1 billion in your account, and if someone takes €5 from you, you wouldn't bother, right? Because you know you have $1 billion. So it's fine. Okay, if you want to take €5, it's fine. Just take it. Or let's say you paid something and they didn't return your cash back. Like let's say €20 you paid. You were supposed to pay 18 and they were supposed to get you €2 back, and they didn't. You wouldn't care because you know that you have something that is in excess. So similarly, one who has achieved Krishna, they're completely absorbed in Krishna. They have completely given up the false ego. They will not care at all about all these things. So we have to keep on checking ourselves, because we have to start training today. Why? Because this false ego is the last thing that we'll get rid of. It's not easy. Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion. It's difficult. But even after that, mind, intelligence, and false ego. The false ego is at the very last. So we have to start training if we have to go back in one lifetime. So we should not be affected by anything that is in praise or that is it's not praise, or it's the opposite of praise. Okay? He knows that he is not this body and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna and the body too belongs to Krishna. So what does this mean? That if someone is making fun of me, let's say, because of my color or because of my appearance, because of the fact that I don't dress properly, so they are making fun of the body. Understand this. If someone makes a racist comment on me, so they are making fun of my body. They are not making fun of me as an individual soul. Once there was a person in Bengal, Navadvip, and he thought that he's a very learned person. So he goes on and he used to meet Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his classes and everything. But he had this ego, he had this false ego that he's a scholar, he knows things. So then I think it was maybe Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur or someone else who asked him that, have you seen Bhakti Vinod Thakur? And he said, oh yes, I see Bhakti Vinod Thakur every day. Every day I see him. And he said with such an attitude. So this person, the sage, he said that no, you have never seen Bhakti Vinod Thakur actually in your life. Else you wouldn't be having this kind of attitude that I have seen him and I meet him every day. No, he is transcendental. You have just seen the body, but you don't know who in reality Bhaktivinoda Thakur is. He is not someone ordinary. So similarly, whatever is thrown at us is thrown at the body and not at us. Okay, and the second thing is, whatever comes to us, praise or whatever it is, slap, it could be anything. It is coming to the body because this body is part of our prarabdha. And that is why we have to be completely unattached, completely detached, because we did something, because of that we got this body. And this body, we can't do anything about it. The only thing that can be use this body for the service of Krishna and go back to Krishna. Anything other than that is a distraction. And we have to work really hard to not just go and give it to all those temptations. That if someone is praising, so we will take the praise. Or if someone is cursing us, so we will become mad and instead curse them. No, they are cursing the body. They are not cursing you. They are not cursing me. Okay, so this is the understanding that we need to develop in due course of time as we progress in bhakti. So when he applies everything produced by the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. 5:12. Any hands?
So Vashmita Mataji, you want to read?
युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्टिकम् अयुक्तः कर्म कामकारेण फले शक्तो निबध्यते. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
The difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that the former is attached to Krishna, whereas the latter is attached to the results of his activities. Now, one thing, you will see that the same thing is repeating again and again and again. So, in my previous classes, I have told you the reason. You will see this Bhagavad-gītā, it's more of a repetition of the same thing. And the reason is psychology. The human psychology, if you know marketing strategy, the psychology that they use is that they will keep on showing you the same advertisement again and again. The billboards, if you are driving, you will see the same billboards. It could be any soap or any deodorant or whatever it is. And you are seeing it again and again and again and again. And then you open television and you are seeing it again in the television. Then you check the newspaper, the same thing. Then you go and you see your neighbors, they are also using the same products. Then it crosses your mind, oh, must be good, or oh, whether I should try, right? So the same psychology Krishna uses in Bhagavad-gītā, that the same thing is repeated again and again. Why? Because what's happening is that few of us are attentive and we are hearing all the things attentively and applying to our mind. And few of us are not attentive. So what happens is, for the ones who are not attentive, everything, because it's being repeated again and again, it goes in our subconscious mind. And if not today, that remains with us eternally. And somewhere, it could be 2 months, 2 years, 20 years, or 2 lifetimes. But everything that you are hearing again and again, it will come out of the subconscious mind to your direct thinking. And then you will turn towards Bhagavad-gītā and you will understand and apply everything in your life. So that is why you will see this pattern of Krishna repeating the same things. And even Prabhupada is repeating the same things many times. Okay? So the person who is attached to Krishna and works for him only is certainly a liberated person, and he has no anxiety over the results of his work. In the Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as being once functioning in the conception of duality, that is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, there is no duality. So we have heard this term that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead so many times. that now it is going to be registered in our mind. And we have to unregister so many things that have been registered by Maya Devi over lifetimes, right? So that is why it is said that if there is a pot filled with poison, how do you make sure that the poison is out? The example Shastra gives is that you start pouring Amrit, nectar, in that pot. And you keep on pouring the nectar, you keep on pouring, and what's going to happen is it will start overflowing. And all the poison, after enough nectar has been poured, the poison is going to go out. And in the end, the only thing that's going to remain is the nectar. So similarly, there is a lot of garbage that we have input in our subconscious mind and in our minds by Maya Devi. And now we have to undo. So we cannot undo by Nirvishesh or by performing this meditation on nothing and Nirvanstit and all those things. No. So now we have to hear. We have to hear Krishna Katha and the philosophy of Krishna. And by hearing constant Krishna Katha, that is nectar, the poison that is inside us, deposited inside us, that is going to go out. And a day after hearing Katha for 10, 15, 20 years, a day will come where all you will have inside your body is complete Krishna Katha nectar and nothing related to Maya Devi. Okay? So this is very, very important. This hearing of Bhagavad-gītā, Bhagavatam, Shravanam, Kirtanam is extremely important. Don't let a single day go by where you don't hear, because we have to undo all the garbage that has been fed inside over lifetimes after lifetime. Okay? All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy, and Krishna is all good. Therefore, activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane. They are transcendental and have no material effect. One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness, but one who is entangled in profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness, realization that there is no existence besides Krishna is the platform of peace and fearlessness. What he says, Sohridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shanti mrichati. I am your best friend. Sohridam sarva bhutanam, of everyone. If you know this, then you will attain peace. So the secret of Krishna consciousness is the realization that nothing exists besides Krishna. Everything is centered around Krishna. And because we are competing with Krishna, we have centered everything around us. We want happiness for us and not for Krishna. And that is why we are in this pathetic situation. But the day we only seek happiness for Krishna, or whatever we do for Krishna, keeping him in center, that day what happens is we will become peaceful and Abhay. Abhay means fearlessness. So this is how we can measure our Krishna consciousness. 5:13. Now 13 to I think 17 or 16 is very beautifully Krishna is going to explain something. If there is no hand, then I will go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi neva kurvan karayan. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Purport. The embodied soul lives in the city of 9 gates. The activities of the body or the figurative city of body are conducted automatically by its particular modes of nature. The soul, although subjecting himself to the conditions of the body, can be beyond those conditions if he so desires. Owing only to forgetfulness of his superior nature, he identifies with the material body and therefore suffers. By Krishna consciousness, he can revive his real position and thus come out of his embodiment. Therefore, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, one at once becomes completely aloof from bodily activities in such a controlled life in which his deliberations are changed. he lives happily within the city of 9 gates. The 9 gates are mentioned as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of a living entity, is the controller of all living entities all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, the anus, and the genitals. The living entity in his conditioned state identifies himself with the body, but when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord, even while in the body. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.18. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is free from both the outer and inner activities of the material body. So again, I'll read the last sentence. The living entity in his conditioned stage identifies himself with the body, but when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord. So there are 9 gates, and as per I think Garuda Purana, or I am not sure. So if the last breath, or if the soul leaves the body from the upper, like from the eyes, from the nostrils, from mouth or from ears, so it is supposed to go to higher destination. And if it is going out from the lower part of the gates, lower gates of the body, then it goes to the lower part of to the lower planetary systems, right? So if someone leaves their body from their mouth, or the eyes rolls, or from the ears, so we have to understand that they were very pious souls, and they already went to a higher destination. Okay, so let's move to the next verse. Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala samyogam swabhavastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. I'll read again. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities. Who? The spirit, the soul, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Now, why is Krishna saying all these things? It's because when Krishna said to Arjun, Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, that you have the right to do your prescribed duty, but then you should not be attached to the fruits of your result. And then he explains the Karma Yoga in the 3rd chapter. And then he explains the transcendental knowledge. And then again, he's telling him the Karma Yoga. Because Arjun has this doubt. That if I am doing something, then how is it that I won't be attached to the result? For instance, all of us are working with a goal in our mind, right? We are not working for free. We are working for salary, isn't it? If your company will say that just come and you won't get salary and you have to give your 8 or 10 hours every day, we won't go to work. So Arjun is asking the same question, that Krishna, so this is kind of a telepathy. Krishna is understanding that Arjun has this doubt, and that's why he is giving these verses. So he has this doubt that how is it that I am doing work and then I won't be attached to the result? And so let's try. Before this, let's again read. So this will clear your minds. When the living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, neither working nor causing work to be done. Okay? And then the next one. Again read. So this will clear many things. The spirit, the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So what Krishna is trying to explain to Arjun is that, Mr. Arjun, you are not working at all. You are saying that I am working, I am getting some fruits, how can I renounce those fruits? But Krishna is saying, I say that you are not working. It's very difficult to understand, isn't it? Let's see the purport. The living entity, as will be explained in the 7th chapter, is one of the energies or natures of the Supreme Lord, but is distinct from matter, which is another nature called inferior to the Lord. Somehow, the superior nature, the living entity, has been in contact with material nature since time immemorial. The temporary body or material dwelling place which he obtains is the cause of varieties of activities and their resultant reactions. Living in such a conditional atmosphere, one suffers the result of the activities of the body by identifying himself in ignorance with the body. It is ignorance acquired from the time immemorial that is the cause of bodily suffering and distress. As soon as the living entity becomes aloof from the activities of the body, he becomes free from the reactions as well. As long as he is in the city of the body, he appears to be the master of it, but actually he is neither its proprietor nor controller of its actions and reactions. He is simply in the midst of the material ocean, struggling for existence. The waves of the ocean are tossing him, and he has no control over them. His best solution is to get out of the water by transcendental Krishna consciousness that will alone save him from all turmoil. What does this mean? If I tell you, let's say, a hypothetical example, that so and so Prabhuji has a problem with so and so person, and I will tell you that Prabhuji, if you go and if you speak, there is going to be a fight. You know that. You know the topic. You know that there will be a fight. And still that happens, isn't it? Despite knowing everything, we are unable to control. That means that there is some power that is controlling us, possessing us, isn't it? Because we know that we are not this body, we are soul, we should devote all our time to Krishna. The spiritual masters are telling us, our acharyas are telling us, and we know, isn't it? We know by now, but still we are unable to. Why? Because there is a force that is working, and that force is very strong. That force is Maya Devi. Okay? So let's take the shlok and then I will explain this whole series of last 2-3 verses, what Krishna is trying to explain here. Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhu ajnanena avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So now one may say that I knew that this is wrong. I didn't want to do that. But oh God, why did you make me do that? Oh God, where are you? Why didn't you help me? Right? So we put everything on Krishna or God, that despite knowing, we called out, we cried, and still this happened. So where were you? It means that you are at fault. So Krishna is saying that I don't assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Let's see the purport. The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty, and renunciation. He is always satisfied in himself, undisturbed by sinful or pious activities. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but the living entity, bewildered by ignorance, desires to be put into certain conditions of life, and thereby his chain of action and reaction begins. Understood how we came to this material world? Again, read this. Krishna does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but the living entity, us, we, bewildered by ignorance, desire to be put into certain conditions of life. I desired for the body I have today. I desired to be Indian. Someone desired to be Australian. They wanted a particular type of body. And the permutation and combination said that this kind of body will be found in Australia or Europe or Asia or Nigeria. So we desired for it. Someone at the time of dying said, I wish I could swim my whole life. Okay, fine, you become fish because the fish can swim their whole life. You desired, I desired. So we should never put things on Krishna that why this is happening to us. Okay, so we have to understand this thing. So desires to be put into certain conditions of life, and thereby the chain of action and reaction begins. Because whatever we do, every action has equal and opposite reaction. Every action. So a living entity is by superior nature full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. The Lord is Vibhu or omniscient, but the living entity is Anu or atomic. Because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Such desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. And so, when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires, but the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions of the particular situation which may be desired. Being in a bewildered condition, therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to the temporary misery and happiness of life. The Lord is the constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma, or the super soul, and therefore he can understand the desires of the individual soul as one can smell the flavor of a flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as he deserves. Man proposes and God disposes. The individual is not therefore omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute independent living entities. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. So before that, remember in our last batch, I had said that by every desire, we are creating a new body. And this is how difficult it is to get out of this video game of Matrix, Mayajal. Maya Devi has designed this game so difficult. We are all players inside this video game. And we have to get out, and the thing that is going to get out is when our mind and our desires are completely aligned with Krishna's. Because what's happening is that every time I desire anything which has not to do with Krishna, I am creating my life. Next life is created. That's it. Because Krishna as Super Soul is sitting, and he is the witness of every desire, the subtle desires. I don't know what Giriraj Prabhu has desired, but Krishna knows. And because Giriraj Prabhu, anyone has desired anything, Krishna will say, so be it. And then there it is. Your next life is created just like that. So that is why Krishna says twice in Bhagavad-gītā, 9.3, 4 and 18.65, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. That you give your mind to me, which is this mind is the sitting place of desires. Okay? So give me this mind. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. The Vedic hymns therefore declare, the Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in pious activities so that he may go to hell. Kaushitaki Upanishad 3.8. The living entity is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell, as a cloud is driven by the air. Therefore, the embodied soul, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Consequently, although he is constitutionally eternal, blissful, and cognizant due to the littleness of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Lord and is thus entrapped by designs. And under the spell of ignorance, the living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence. The Vedanta Sutras 2.134 also confirm this. The Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to. Okay, the Lord is impartial. We had desires, so we had to come here, and then we got entangled and entangled and entangled, and here we are. Okay, Chaitanya Bro, please decide this.
ज्ञानेन तु तत् अज्ञानं येषां नाशितम् आत्मना तेषामादित्य
Sorry.
वैज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्. Translation: when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered, but those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad-gītā, Sarvam Jnana Plavena Jnanagni Sarva Karmani and Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed, and what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna, as it is said in the 17th chapter, 19th verse, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate. After passing through many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him, as everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he unceremoniously thinks himself God, he actually falls into the last snare of nescience. If a living entity is God, then how can he become bewildered by nescience? Does God become bewildered by nescience? If so, then nescience of Satan is greater than God. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is in perfect Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master and under him learn what Krishna consciousness is. For Krishna consciousness will certainly drive away all nescience, as the sun drives away darkness. Even though a person may be in full knowledge and that he is not this body but is transcendental to the body, he still may not be able to discriminate between the soul and the super soul. However, he can know everything well if he cares to take shelter of the perfect bona fide Krishna conscious spiritual master. One can know God and one's relationship with God only when one actually meets a representative of God. A representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all the respect ordinarily paid to God because he has knowledge of God. So we sing Sakshat Haritvena Samastra Shastre. So all the Shastras says Sakshat Haritvena, that Guru Maharaj is Sakshat Hari. But a Guru will never claim that I am Hari or I am God. So one has to learn the distinction between God and the living entity, Lord Sri Krishna, therefore stated in the second chapter 2.12 that every living being is individual and that the Lord also is individual. They were all individuals in the past, they are individuals at present, and they will continue to be individuals in the future, even after liberation. At night we see everything as one in the darkness, but in day when the sun is up, we see everything in its real identity with individuality. It's in spiritual life is real knowledge. Okay? So the last snare of Maya, that is Mayavad, that it makes us believe that we are God. And that is extremely dangerous, like in the snake and ladder, Saap Siri. It is like the snake on the 99th position. And if you go to that 99th position, you come down to the first row. And that is not good. So we have to stay away from the Mayavadis. 5:17. Chaitanya Prabhu or Giridhar Prabhu?
Giriraj Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, I can recall. Tad buddhyastat atmanastat nishtastat parayana gacchantya punar avrittim jnanan nirdhuta kalmasha. Translation: when one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed into Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
Yeah. The supreme transcendental truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad-gītā centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the supreme reality who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Paramatma, Brahman and Bhagwan. Bhagwan or the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Matta paratarat nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishtatam. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality. One whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity, and individuality in Krishna, and equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. So what are these things? When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then they become fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge. And how is this going to happen? Our intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge fixed in Supreme. So, two things. Seva and Sadhu Sang. So when we do Seva in the Sang, in the association of the devotees, then we will get rid of all these things, and our intelligence, our mind, our faith and refuge will be fixed in Supreme. And then we will be steady on this path, and also we will progress. Now we will take another shlok and then we will open for question and answer. So this is one of my favorite shlokas of Bhagavad-gītā, 5.18. Yes, I see a hand.
Yes, Prabhu. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gave hastini sunuchaiva sopakecha pandita samandarshina. Translation: A humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater outcast.
A Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or castes. The Brahman and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species. But these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme, for the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahman, although the body of a Brahman and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the super soul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. So, before I forget, let's read first. So the similarity in the quality of the soul and the super soul, however, does not make them equal in quantity, for the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. So what does it mean is that I may or may not know about myself, and I will definitely not know about others. Even if I know something about myself, it is very difficult that I know what's going on inside the mind of Chaitanya Prabhu, or what is Giridhar Prabhu thinking. I may not know that. But Krishna as Paramatma knows everything at every time. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Says, I know everything, past, present and future of everybody, every living entity. Vedaham samatitani. Krishna says, 7:20, I think. Yeah. So this is the difference. For example, a farmer may know about his field, that in my field there is crops and the water was not good this year, so the crops will not grow so nicely, and then I have to work hard in this time of the day, this and that. So a farmer knows about their field, but the government knows about everyone's field. isn't it? So that is the difference between us and super soul, that we might know about our own body, but the super soul knows about everyone's body. And one who understands this is the clear vision. Because then they will get to know that we can never become God, because we don't know about the other person, but God does know. And even if someone has some mystic power, they cannot know what happened 12 million years back. Krishna knows. Krishna knows what happened, and Krishna knows what is going to happen 20 million years from now. He knows everything, but we can't. Okay? And then the similar characteristics of the soul and super soul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the super soul is conscious of all bodies. The super soul is present in all bodies without distinction. So now again, let's come to the translation. The humble sages, by the virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater of caste. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini. So Vidya is education, Vinay means gentleness or humility. Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Education must make an individual humble. If someone shows arrogance of their education, that is not real education, because real education must make oneself humble. And if someone is humble, they will never mistreat or be partial to anyone. And this is something you should all aspire for, we should all aspire for, and we should know that in devotees, the pure devotees, they are like this. A pure devotee is like a 5-6-year-old child, that they will never hate anyone, and no one will feel any uncomfort to approach a pure devotee, because they are seeing everyone on the platform of soul, and they are respecting everyone because they see Krishna inside each and every entity. So this is real Krishna consciousness. This is real education, and we all must aspire to become this, because generally what happens is that we are very good with our seniors. We are very good, respectful to the senior devotees, to our Guru Maharaj, to the sannyasis, to our acharyas. We respect them, we speak highly of them. But how do we behave with our equals and the people who are new to this Krishna consciousness? The neophyte devotees, our peers, our friends, the outsiders, non-devotees, how we behave with them is extremely important, and that shows our character. That shows whether we are Krishna conscious. Because if, let's say, I'll take my example, a hypothetical example, that I am very good with all of you, and I am posting my sadhana card and everything, but I am not respecting the people outside of temple. I am yelling at them, and I am misbehaving with them, and I am not human with them. So that does not make me a devotee then, right? So this is a lesson for all of us, this slogan. That is why this is one of my favorite verses from Bhagavad-gītā, that Krishna is saying that you have to see everyone and respect everyone equally, because Krishna is residing in the heart, and Krishna is noting everything. Everything is being noted by Paramatma. Don't think that if you hurt anyone, whether a new devotee or a non-devotee, and then you will be going back to Golok Dham. It is never going to happen. You have to respect everyone to be able to go back to Golok Dham. Okay, so this is very important. And coming back to those 3 shlokas, 13, 14, 15. So as we discussed, that Arjun had this doubt that if I am doing, so how is it that I will be detached from the fruits? So Krishna explains that, Arjun, it is not you who is doing. In fact, you are not doing anything. So if you are not doing anything, why should you be attached to the result? So the question is then, who is doing if I am not doing? So the answer is that it is the modes of nature, the Maya Devi, who is doing. Okay, so, oh yeah, this is the Supreme Soul one. So just again, so I think this should be clear by now because this is difficult to understand. The soul does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of actions. All this is enacted. So if the soul does not do, if we are not doing, so who is doing? So all this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Maya Devi is doing it. So whatever is being performed here is not being performed by us. So then you will say, then why is Maya Devi working? Why is she doing all this? Because we desired. We desired. So we are sitting, understand like this. We are sitting in a car. We are in the passenger seat. That is us. Maya Devi is driving and the car is our body. So we are desiring, we are telling the driver, take left. And then Maya Devi is turning the body left. We are saying take a U-turn. Maya Devi is taking a U-turn. Stop. And then stopping. Why? We are desiring. And she is performing the act based on our desires. But we are not performing. And that is why I said that whatever is going and coming back at us, it's not coming back at our real self. It is coming back at the body. Because we did something, so it has to come back to us, either good or bad. But we should remain in equilibrium at that time. No reaction at all. Because we have to bear the consequences of what we did, but we can't do anything about it. But if we react now, so what's going to happen is that reaction means new desires. Reaction means I become angry and I curse someone. How dare you? How can you say I am not good at this? Or how can you say that I cannot play mridanga or whatever it is? So now what's happening is that I am then creating more desires with that anger. And then I have to then go for more lifetimes. If I was quiet, thinking that this was my prarabdha, I misbehaved with someone probably somewhere in my some lifetime, and now Maya Devi is giving back to me because of my prarabdha. So that is going to just stop the reaction that time. But if we further react and slap the other person or curse the other person, then the chain works again and again. And this is what we have been doing, and that is why we are still trapped in this material world. So understand that we don't do anything. We just desire. And the desire is carried by Maya Devi. And God has nothing to do with it. He says that I have nothing to do with it. I don't take anyone's sin or anyone's pious reactions. I am equal to everyone. Okay. So with this, I am going to stop. Let me go back to 5.18 so that we are not bewildered the next time. Anyways, I'm going to remember 5.18. Okay. So with this, I'm going to stop and give chance for question and answer. Okay, I see one hand. Where is Prabhu?
Prabhu, what we desire, if we get in the next life, we might not have the desire for it, right? So what's the use?
Can you repeat?
So the desires which we have now intensely, if we get those in the next life, we might not have the need.
So what happens is, how it works is, let's say I desire a Lamborghini. Okay. Now, how it works is that Krishna is going to check my bank balance, the bank balance of my karma. And if in my karma there is I haven't earned the point to have a Lamborghini, and if it's just, let's say, Maruti Suzuki, so then Krishna is going to sanction, but not Lamborghini, only Maruti Suzuki. Understood? But let's say I'm adamant, no, I want a Lamborghini. So I will keep working, and a lifetime will come when I become super rich. It could be next lifetime, it could be this lifetime, maybe 30 years later from now, or it could be 5 or 10 lifetimes from now. And that time, maybe I'll be born in a family, and when I turn 18, the father is going to gift me a Lamborghini. I didn't even have to work for it, but I was gifted a Lamborghini because 10 lifetimes back, I desired a Lamborghini, but I didn't have the credit. And Krishna couldn't sanction that time. Understood? Yeah, but still, if we have desire, he's to give us like Dhruv Maharaj's story. When Dhruv Maharaj desired a palace even greater than Brahma, and then when he meets Krishna, so he says, now my desires are gone. But Krishna says, no, because you desired, I'm still going to give you that palace. And then he makes a Dhruv Lok for Dhruv Maharaj. So if we have desired, we are going to get it for sure. Okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, how do we cancel our desires which we had previously?
Yeah, so whatever desires previously, we have to just keep on offering everything to Krishna. And now we have to desire that all our previous desire, may those be washed away. We don't want those desires. We only want to go back to Golok Vrindavan Dham. We want to meet Radharani. We want to meet Krishna. We want to eternally serve Radharani and Krishna. So this is the only desire we have now. So what happens is, I'll tell you. It is again given in Bhagavad-gītā, and we are going to study that. That when we are completely transcendental, okay, and we are completely pure, so at that time, whatever previous desires we had, so it's like that your ticket to Golok Dham will be fixed. It is fixed that you are going to Golok Dham. And you are not coming back to this material world. But because you had those desires, so you will be sent in such lok where you can fulfill all your desires. Okay? And you will go to those lokas. So this is from Bhagavad-gītā. You go to those planets, you will fulfill all those desires because you had at some point, and from there you will not come back here. From there you will go back to Golok Dham or Vaikuntha Dham. So this is the only best thing. It is like the best. The only thing is that it would have been a fast track process, that you could have just gone to Golok Vrindavan Dham, but because you had desires before becoming pure, now you will go to maybe Svarglok, to the Bilba Svarglok, to maybe Brahmalok, to the other planets, and you will, let's say you had desire to meet Lord Hanuman in Kim Purushlok. So you will go, you will meet him. You had desire to see how Indra functions, the heavenly planets. So you will go, you will stay there for a few years, and like that you can go back to Golok Vrindavan Dham. So that is also an option. But yeah, the thing is, for that, we all have to intensely desire that whatever we desired, now our only desire is that we will serve Radharani and Krishna and our Guru in Golok Vrindavan Dham. That's it. Okay?
Oh, thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes, Chaitanya Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I was thinking that, so let's say there is, so maybe this is a silly question. Let's say there is a farmer and they have to use like, maybe not use pesticides, but they have to like till their farm, and then there will be many creatures that will die.
Yeah.
So are they not fit for the bhakti process, like, because they're like, they can't follow the regulations? And
No, so
but
yeah, the answer is, Prabhu, that for certain species, there is a cycle. Okay, it's a cycle. For instance, if a lion eats another animal, so the lion does not incur any sin. Okay, because the body of lion or any animal is part of their reaction. That is why they become that animal. So they don't incur any sin. So similarly, it is the process. A farmer has to use all those things. If the farmer does not use, if the eagle does not eat the insects, or if the eagle does not eat the reptile, then it's not going to work. So it's like a cycle, food cycle. So similarly, those insects, they are in the farm, so it's their destiny to be killed and then to get the next body. So they will go a chain up. So this farmer, yeah, but if the farmer does it for fun, let's say, that he wants to kill, like Ratnakar, Daku, he just wanted to kill for no reason. So that is a problem then. Then he will have to bear the consequences. But if it is just a part, and that is why, and again, Arjun had the same question to Krishna, but Krishna said that you cannot understand. He wanted to understand the gati of karma, how this karma works. But Krishna says, you leave it to me. You cannot understand. So similarly, what I'm trying to explain to you is not necessarily the exact how it's going to happen, but this is a food chain. that the insects are going to bound to die like this, and then they will get the next body and the next body and the next body. But again, it depends on the farmer, whether the farmer is doing it as his duty. If it's as a part of the duty, then the farmer does not get any reactions. But if it is doing for fun, then there will be 100% reaction. Okay, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, reaction is fine. Let's say
Yeah.
I am the farmer and I want to become a Vaishnav and I want to devote everything to Krishna. But let's say I want to grow some crops and in my garden and I want to, like, maybe I want to just remove the weeds and maybe just like I want to till the soil. And if I till the lots of the insects will
Understood.
die. And
Understood.
like I want to be a Vaishnav also. Like isn't there a contradiction like in like?
So I said a statement while I was giving one of the reading the purpose of Prabhupada, that when you become a Vaishnav, your actions will always be aligned with your goal. That whether this action is getting me to Golok Dham or getting me away from Golok Dham. Understood? So what happens is, in that situation, you will go to your spiritual master and you will ask that, Maharaj, this is the situation. For instance, if someone is working in a non-veg restaurant where meat is being served and they are about to get diksha, so they will check with their spiritual master whether should I continue working here because I have to feed my family and I am the only earning member, so what should I do, or whether I should quit my job. So the spiritual master is going to guide that if this is the situation, you do this and I will take care of the other things, right? So similarly, the first thing is, Prabhuji, that Paramatma is going to guide you. The Paramatma knows your heart, that you sincerely desire to become a Vaishnav, and the Paramatma knows that if you kill the insects using pesticide, it will delay your process to becoming a Vaishnav. So the first indication will be from Paramatma. That is why we have that guilt conscious, isn't it? That, oh, I'm not going to kill cockroaches in the house or whatever it is, because then I think it is a murder. And if you are still not sure, then you reach out to your guru and then they will guide you. Understood, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, makes sense.
Yeah, this is actually how it does. But the good thing is that at least you are thinking. And this is an indication from Paramatma, because generally people don't think. I have seen people stomping on insects on the roads as if it is nothing, as if there is no life. And it is very disheartening to see that. And we might have done as kids as well, I don't know, killing so many mosquitoes, because then we did not have that conscience. But today I can guarantee you, if a mosquito comes in front of you when you are in India, you will think 1,000 times before killing a mosquito, because now you know that it also has life, it also has Krishna as Paramatma, and who am I to kill that mosquito? So you will have that conscience now when you go back to India or whatever you do. So this is like Paramatma interacting with us, that don't do this, this is going to take you away from me. And then you speak to your superiors, your spiritual master, and then they are going to guide. So again, coming back to the point that this is a good thought, Prabhu, and this means that you are progressing spiritually. Okay? Yes, so we'll move ahead, with Abhishek Vedi, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Prabhu.
Prabhu, my question is related to one of the verses which was saying that Atma does not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Is it also true that Atma also does not desire?
No, it desires. That's what I said in the end. That it desires, and then the task is carried out by Maya.
So Maya is just is just doing what you are doing. It means if
Yes.
somebody is doing a bad activity, for example, which is against the Shastras, then that desire to do a bad activity is actually, that thought has actually developed inside the soul. Is that also right?
Yes, so understand it like this. The soul is pure. Okay? Now the soul is in contact with the bad association, that is this material world. For instance, a boy, let's say a 5-6 year old boy, an orphan, somehow they get in contact with the terrorists. Okay, it's a small boy, doesn't know anything. And the terrorists start training him, giving him revolver, how to shoot, how to kill with a knife. The boy is naive, the boy doesn't know anything. But because the association was bad, now he goes on becoming a terrorist and he starts killing and murdering everyone. So the same applies with our soul. The soul is perfectly good. But when it comes in the association of this material creation, this material world, what happens is that there is mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. And that influences the soul to desire things. And Maya Devi is influencing on the top. There's Maya Devi that's influencing, then the time, Kal, that is influencing. And because of that, the soul desires. And then it is carried out by Maya Devi.
Yeah, Prabhu,
Is that
so
clear?
one follow up on that is that so it is the subtle body, man, buddhi, ahankara. It's that body which is actually desiring, or it is the spiritual soul which is deciding.
Okay, so now this again becomes very subtle. So it's the soul that desires, and the desire sits in the subtle body. So the desire also needs a place. So it is sitting in the subtle body, that is the mind. Understood? So I am desiring, and the desire is coming to my mind, which is also not me, a different thing. So I am not this body, I am not this mind. It is just that I am using the mind, understand mind like a charger. Okay, so you are using it to charge. So you are using a mind that I have gotten from my prarabdha as an instrument to desire, and then the mind is desiring, and then the Maya Devi is carrying out the things. Is that clear?
Yeah, Prabhu, it's clear, probably 90%. The only 10% which probably is forcing me to think based on my previous previous courses which you have explained, and some of this which I have not understood. I have always this understanding that the soul is pure and it doesn't do any such things, and it is mentioned in multiple shlokas in this chapter. I was always under the impression that our prarabdha karma forces, and the prarabdha karma and the current karmas, they basically forces the subtle body to react in a certain way, and we get the fruits because of that. So if you are doing a bad activity, it's probably because of this. But now
no, but understand, okay, this is correct understanding. But now understand that where was the first desire that was coming from? The first desire came when we did not have the body, isn't it? Firstly, all of us were with a spiritual body in the spiritual world, isn't it? And then there was a desire. And then we come to this material world. So the desire was there. And because of the desire, we got this material body. Understand the sequence. So the prarabdha that we have today is part of a desire. And who desired? So the desire is sitting on a place called mind, but then someone is desiring it. If I am not desiring it, so why am I suffering it? For instance, I will explain you. Ghosts and spirits, bhoot pret. Okay. So even bhoot pret also have desires. They also want to eat. They also want to have many things, but they can't do because they don't have a body, a gross body. It's just the subtle body, right? So they need an instrument to get their desires to action. And that is why you will see when someone is possessed by a ghost or spirit, they will overeat, they will oversleep, they will do all sort of things that this person didn't do ever, played music or whatever, or danced or whatever it is. So the ghost or the spirit have desires, but they need an instrument, a body, to fulfill those desires. Right? So similarly, the soul had desire. Now it needed an instrument to fulfill those desires. And as a prarabdha, it got a covering, a material covering of this human body. Is that clear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, this is clear. And one of the sentences that you have said in the previous question, that Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that you will never understand the ways of karmas. This was which shloka, Prabhu? I would like to understand that in detail. Was it already covered or?
No, I think it's gonna come in the end, I guess. Yeah.
Understand. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna come. Haribol. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, Subhashmita Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, actually, I think almost all my questions answered, but little bit I'll add. Like, as you explained, like, our means like karma, whatever we are doing, it's not our soul, not body, so it is governed by the material nature. So my question here will be like, then who is creating means like I will be bad, means I will be ruled by mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of like
desire.
Who will create that sense inside my mind? Means like my prarabdha, like, and why I will incur that result if my body is not doing anything, my soul is not doing anything, then why that result, whether bad or good, why I will incur the result?
Okay, so you go to a restaurant, okay? You go to a restaurant and you say, I want paneer butter masala, I want naan, and I want fruit salad, and then I want a drink, okay? Now the waiter brings everything, you eat, and then you start leaving. And the waiter stops you, wait, what happened? Now you have to pay. So you will say, why should I pay? You have to pay because you asked for it. You had a desire, you wanted to eat, so you came to the restaurant, you ordered the food, you ate the food, now you have to pay for it. Understood? So similarly, the soul desired, and based on the desires, it got a certain type of body. I desired to fly, so I became a bird. Now I cannot question the nature or Krishna that why I am a bird, because I desired while quitting my previous body. So is that making sense?
Yes, it's clear, but again I'll ask like that desire, soul means, please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that in my previous birth, I don't know what I was. So in that case, the soul is not creating the desire. In that birth also, that body is creating the desire, and that is carrying forward.
No. It's soul. It's soul that is creating the desire always.
But soul, how? Soul is pure.
Because no, so that's what I'm saying. That the child is pure, but they are contaminated by the bad association. So soul is pure, but the soul is contaminated by this material body and the subtle body that is material. The mind is material, Mataji. Okay. And because the mind is not controlled, the mind is dictating us. The mind, Maya Devi, the place, the circumstance, Kalyug, everyone is dictating the soul because the soul is a child. So they are dictating you do this, you do that. Understood? So it is the soul when we are dying, okay, at that time our complete life, whatever we have done, it goes as a reel within 1 second. And then whatever we have done the most throughout the life, again the soul is going to desire that only as part of our next body. And then we get the next body. So the desire is always there. So even today you and I have desire, isn't it? There is some desire. I want to learn harmonium. I want to do this. I want to eat biryani, whatever it could be. So the desire is always there, Mataji. The only thing is that the desire is under the influence of mind, and mind is not controlled. And that is why Krishna says, you give your mind to me. Give your mind to me. That means you control your mind. And how are you going to control your mind? Mantrai iti mantra. If you do mantra, then your mind is going to be controlled. Mantrai iti, which controls the mind. And then you do maha mantra. That is guaranteed that the mind is going to be controlled. So what's happening is that the bad association is turning to good association. Your mind is becoming your friend. And now the mind is constantly remembering and chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So by the time you die, so the mind is not dictating the soul, or even if the mind dictates the soul, the mind is going to say that you chant Hare Krishna. And then there will be Hare Krishna coming out of the mouth, and then we will go back to Golok Dham. Okay. So the desire is always there, Mataji, because we have a subtle body.
No, that I understood. Desire is always there, but mine is still. Then, if my body is not doing, my soul is not doing, then why I will encourage? Means in this body,
because you are desiring. You are desiring, Mataji. That is why.
Okay.
You are desiring. You wanted to eat in the restaurant, so you pay in the restaurant, isn't it? Yeah. And if your company invited you to the restaurant, then you don't pay, then the company pays. So that is like if Krishna or your guru said that you do something, so they will pay. You don't have to pay. That means you are not getting any reaction. Understood? That is why we have to chant 16 rounds. We have to do the 4 regulative principles, because then Prabhupada will pay and then you will come back. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Yes, Tanush Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I had the same question as Vedis Prabhu about how do we eliminate our previous desires. I just want to ask a follow-up question on that. Like you said, when we already have got the ticket to Golok, and if we had some previous desires, we would go to some higher planetary planets and fulfill our desires and then go to Golok. So how do we prevent to not have any more desires when we go to the higher planets? Or
you will not. That is a guarantee by Krishna. You will not. For instance, if a lion or tiger eats 1,000 animals, the lion or tiger is not getting any sins, because it is the law of nature that in the body of a lion and tiger you cannot eat grass. You will eat animals only, and that is not going to give you any sins, because this body of lion and tiger is already part of your sin. So similarly, if Krishna is sending you, so he will write a recommendation letter to Maya Devi that after he has enjoyed this planet, don't take him back, you send him my way. So there will be a stamp by Krishna and signed by him that he is coming back to Golok Dham. So you are going to that place just for bhog only. So you will get all your desires fulfilled. For instance, you woke up Mangal Aarti every single day, your life, and you could not sleep properly, and you desired, I wish I could have slept. So you will go to a lok where you can sleep for millions of years. And after that, you will not incur any sins. You will go back to Golok Dham from there. Okay, so there is no sins, or there is no reaction from that place.
Okay, Babuji. Got it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ms. Abhishek Prabhu, is there any another question? Okay, I think it's by mistake. Okay, fine. So thank you all for joining. We will have another Bhagavatam class because we didn't have for a long time. So hopefully, if everything goes back, we'll have another class this week, and that will be Bhagavatam class. Thank you for joining, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Babuji. Dana Prabhuji.